Okay, so I'm a little bit late to this one. I should have really done this video last week, but I'm here, so we're going to talk about it. The buffs and nerfs for the rebalancing of the 4 tier 10 vehicles. The Minotauro, Pz VII, Foch B, and S-Conqueror. Now just quickly before we do get into this video, yes, the grind was meant to be today. However, at the moment, they have a slight issue, shall we say, with crashing in the game. And I don't even want to try and play the game right now because the amount of crashes that I see and I know happen is worrying. Last night I had one person crash 3 times and then he couldn't join in the next 2 games and had to keep on Alt F4 until he got into the game. I've watched Godpack on stream today just constantly crashing. Apparently it's to do with BZs when they boost and they get spotted at the same time or something like that. Then it crashes everyone's game or crashes certain people's games. I don't know the exact specifics. Maybe that's wrong, but I don't know. Either way, I do know that there is a problem with whatever update we're on and crashing. And I don't want to play the grind and then have it crash halfway through because it's just going to be very annoying, especially when I'm trying to record something. So you get this today instead. So as you know, they are going to be readjusting 4 tier 10 vehicles. The first one being the Pz VII. Now this is going to receive, I wouldn't say that it's like mega buffed. It's definitely not as buffed as like the AMX M454 was. And I think that some people are overreacting to this getting buffed because it definitely did need buffing, right? This tank was nowhere near some of the other tier 10s. And I do feel that the buffs it has got are justified. The gun is going to get a buff. It is going to go down to 0.33 dispersion base at 100 meters. It is also going to get a reduced aim time. The penetration is going to make it so that it is the highest standard round pen of any heavy tank in the game. The premium pen is going to be on par with the highest APCR premium pen of any heavy tank in the game as well. Also, the engine power is getting buffed, and something that they didn't show in this image, but they do show here, is that the weak spot on the mantlet is also going. However, I don't exactly know which bit they're talking about. Because as you can see here, it says aligning it with the VK7201K and enhancing overall survivability. But if we go to the Pz VII here, you'll see that, yes, it does have the weak spots here. And it has this little kind of bit here where you can shoot in the gun mantlet. Right? If you didn't know, this is a super easy pen. Every single time you can go directly through here and you can even basically shoot the gun nearly. And half the time, it's going to probably just hit this and it'll pen it. But the VKK has the same thing. And a lot of people don't know that. And they don't actually think about just shooting this when they see a VKK. I mean, the thing is, I'm guessing they mean this little ring around the gun. That is the only way that I can think that they're going to change it. Because that is 200 millimeters thick rather than that being 300. Either way, it's not really going to make a difference to this tank. Because if they do that, they still have this as a weak spot. And if they blocked out this, then that would make it a better hold down tank than the VKK. Interesting. Now, obviously, on the side of the turret, it is better on the VKK than the Pz VII. This is both using the VKK standard rounds of 246 standard pen. As you can see, both of them using the same thing. But this is a lot weaker than this, for example. So I don't really know, and I wish they would actually explain it and show what they're on about. Because it used to be, do you remember when the V4 got nerfed? And it showed like the cupola being like weakened and stuff like this. And it showed everything. But now we just get this. I don't, what does that mean? So I'm guessing it just means this little tiny bit here. Because that is, yeah, very, very strong on the VKK, and this is extremely weak on the the Pz VII. But this still will probably exist. If it doesn't, then yeah. What they should have really done is when this tank is side scraping, it is a lot easier to pen a Pz VII than it is the VKK. Because the VKK, when it's side scraping, it's yeah, as you can see. So these buffs are good to the Pz VII. We'll have to see about the armor because I would have loved to see what they were actually doing with it because I don't know what this means, you know? Like, it would have been nice just to see a picture. Now, the Foch B, I'm not too sure what they were thinking when they buffed this tank. The thing is, for randoms, it's going to make it even better. But there is a game mode in this game, but a Foch B used to be meta. And with these buffs, it will become the best tank for that game mode. Now yes, I am talking about Onslaught. The thing is, this tank in Onslaught gets an ability where it will reverse 10 km/h faster than it already does. And with the field mods, you can get this tank to reverse at 22 km/h backwards. Now in Onslaught, that is obviously going to go to 32 km/h backwards, but it also buffed the specific power to weight, meaning that this will go from 22 to more of a tier 10 light tank specific power to weight of about 30 something. Especially if you're using turbo. Like, this will go so fast in reverse in Onslaught. And then, whatever damage it takes when it's in reverse, it then heals back up. So you can just do your clip, put it into the ability, take all the damage, reverse around the corner at 32, and you're pretty much instantly going to be at 32. And then you continue. The rest of this is honestly fine. I don't understand why they're making this tank faster in reverse and the engine power. It doesn't really make sense. But this tank is going to be a monster to deal with in randoms, and it's going to be even worse in Onslaught. I really hope they remove the reverse speed and the specific power to weight on this, because it doesn't need it. Right? The tank is already fast enough. Considering that you can put on HB, turbo, and vents, and then you just good to do whatever you want in the game. This thing is an absolute monster now, if that goes through. So the Foch B buffs are quite worrying, to be honest with you. And this is a tank that I would be very, very worried about if that goes through with that power to weight changes. Now, interestingly enough, they're also buffing some of the other lower tier vehicles. So, for example, in the Foch B's line, the Foch and the AMX AC48 will get buffed using very similar kind of things. I don't think there's any mobility going on. It's going to improve the vehicle's reverse speed for the Foch and also for this, as well as enhanced accuracy for the AC48. There's nothing saying about the rest of the line for the Pz VII. I don't know how I feel about that, because the VK4502 B could probably do with a little bit of a buff, but whatever, you have to let me know in the comments. And now we're moving on to the nerfs. The S-Conq getting nerfed. And I'm not going to lie to you, I do not know why they have nerfed it in this way. They're going to be nerfing the DPM, the reload speed, and the HP pool. All things that make the S-Conq what it is, which makes me very, very sad and a little bit annoyed. This tank will now only have 3,100-ish DPM with a Bond rammer, HP turbo, and then all the field mods and whatnot. Which you just have to think about, what is the point of this tank then? Because it's meant to be a high DPM kind of tank that can just sit there. It has weak spots. Like, I'm sorry, but it has weak spots. And if you cannot pen the weak spots, that is not a problem to do with this tank. That is a problem to do with whatever gun you are firing at it with. And that gun should be adjusted to be better at firing and killing something. Like the IS-7 gun. The IS-7 APCR will be like a 50-50 on it, when it really shouldn't be. Like 303 standard pen is not good enough nowadays. Right? And the IS-7's pen should be buffed. That then doesn't correlate to the S-Conq being OP. It's because the tank that is firing against it is not good enough for the current times in World of Tanks. I think the main reason why this annoys me so much is that the S-Conq was such a nice tank, or is such a nice tank. And I don't think that it's OP. I really don't think that this tank is OP, because if you play it like an idiot, you will get punished for it. And it is very, very rare that I see an S-Conq and I think, oh, I can't do anything to it now. I don't have that feeling unless I'm in a tank that is inferior to most other tanks in the game regarding penetration. And again, coming back to my previous point, that is a problem with the tank that I am in, not a tank that I am facing. This tank will now go down from having a 6.76 second reload to 7.8-ish, which means that you can definitely no longer permatrack someone with this tank, and you go down to, about 3080 DPM with the setup that I have now. And for a tank that is meant to sit there, be like a rock, and just control the engagement, it can't do that anymore. And I mean, for God's sake, even the 279 is going to be near the same DPM as an S-Conk. What else is there that would have similar DPM? Would this have similar DPM? That would have similar DPM? It's now no longer going to be the DPM god, or that it's meant to be. And it's more in line with a lot of other tanks. And it doesn't make sense with 400 alpha. Why is it that a 60 TP is now going to have very, very similar DPM to an S-Conk when this has a 750 alpha damage gun? It doesn't make sense. The 5A is going to have more DPM than an S-Conk. But I never thought I'd say that. I mean, for goodness sake, the VZ with a single shot gun is going to nearly have the same DPM. In fact, it basically does have the same DPM as an S-Conk. This has 3050, where the S-Conk will have about 3100. It really doesn't make sense. And I think the biggest thing that you should all take away from this as well is that the E5 is now going to be the king of DPM. And the E5 marks are probably going to go up quite a bit. You know, all the good players, they want to mark some of the best tanks in the game. The S-Conk at the moment is one of the best tanks in the game. Not because it's OP, but because it's bloody good. Right? And I feel like this is exactly the same kind of nerfs as the Progetto received. The Progetto was amazing. It was so nice. But notice how I said nice. Not OP, not insanely good. It was just a nice tank to play. And I don't understand why we want to keep removing tanks that are nice from the game that have good features. The Progetto is now genuinely useless. Like, there is no reason to play the Progetto. And while I don't think that the S-Conk nerfs are that bad as the Progetto, I do feel like it's taken away from the core feature of the vehicle, which is the high DPM and, you know, just the ability to be that rock in the center. You can no longer really control the engagement with this tank when you have 7 point whatever it is second reload. I mean, the 5A without a rammer is nearly going to have the same reload time as an S-Conk. Oh. So hopefully you see my point with the S-Conk. I feel like they have removed the heart and soul from this tank, and they've just made it just another tank. I don't think that it's going to be fun anymore, and, you know, it's not got any character behind it. But we'll have to wait and see. But I really hope that they... I don't know. I don't know why they want to nerf it so badly. The thing is, what they could have done instead of this is just nerf the gun handling. Nerf the gun handling. You could maybe nerf the DPM if you think that it's too much, but not by nearly a second. Maybe half a second. Maybe like 0.5 seconds off the reload. Maybe 0.4 would be better. Put it around about the 3.3 to 3.4k DPM range. If you can get it to around about 3.3, I think that'll be the very, very sweet spot. Because it definitely doesn't need to be 3.5. But 3.3 would still be far ahead of most tanks. And it would kind of bring that DPM down a bit. So I think that whatever you would need to do to knock off that second of reload, or, you know, to get it down to 3.3, I think that would sit a lot better. The HP pool really doesn't matter, to be honest with you. That is only going to go down 100. It doesn't matter at all. Like, you go from 2,700 to 2,600 hit points with hardening and whatnot. So, whatever. Like, they can do that. But yeah, this DPM, that goes down quite fast. Now, the Minotauro. I don't know why there's green on here. I also don't know why they've done the engine power in horsepower per ton. But there we go. Now, again with the Minotauro, the same thing as the Pz VII. To achieve this, we will reduce the armor on the hatches and certain areas of the frontal projection. What does that mean? Why don't they just show where they're going to nerf or what they're going to change? Because that means absolutely nothing to me. I don't know what hatches they're talking about. Are they talking about these hatches at the very top? Who knows? And where is the frontal projection? I don't know what that means. So yeah, honestly, good riddance to this getting nerfed. I hope that it gets nerfed in a way that it doesn't become useless, right? But it is easier to deal with when it's hold down. Again, I am not asking that all of these like OP tanks like the Minotauro get nerfed into the ground, because it just doesn't make them fun and they're useless in the game. But I just hope that they are weakened in such a way that when they are hold down, there is a chance that you can pen them, because currently, if a Minotauro is hold down, good luck. There's nothing you can do. Not even with a Jagdpanzer E100 with 420 heat can you deal with a fully hold down Minotauro that is above you. I don't know why they decided to increase the engine power and the traverse speed. Like, why does it now go at 30? Who thought this was a good idea? Like, now I just can't flank a Minotauro. But whatever. I mean, hopefully it's still okay to play after the nerfs, and it does what it's meant to do, which is to just make it better hold down, or better to deal with when it's hold down. Consequently, the Conqueror Mark II and the SMV-CC will receive nerfs as well. For example, on the CC67, they're going to reduce the lower plate, or the lower hull plate, so I'm guessing them in just the lower plate, so it'll be easier to pen. Armor's hull plate for the Conqueror will be weakened, and the chassis speed will be increased for whatever reason as well on the Conqueror Mark II. So, yeah, that is the buffs and nerfs. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll be interested to know what you think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about the S-Conq. Maybe it will still be good, but I don't have high hopes. See you in the next one.